I hope we didn't inspire any of these stories. A, I don't think we did. And B, you know, clearly we were on to something creatively.
Very excited to be able to chat with you about Orphan First Kill, prequel to the 2009 film that you starred in. And as I said to Brent when we chatted, we'll try to do this without spoiling anything, because man, there's a lot going on, and it's very good.
Good. Oh, yay.
He said that he was initially, prior to taking on, the job of director for the film, he was initially skeptical that this would work. I'm curious if that is how you felt as well when initially presented with the idea of a prequel to Orphan.
I knew as an actor that I could do it. I think the practicality of it was the question that I had. And I remember when I was talking with Brent and he was like, I think it should all be practical. I was like, how is that possible? But seeing the movie for the first time, I actually think what works about it is because as an audience member, you cannot figure out how we did it, because it's not in your face. When you CGI someone's face, you can tell it looks different and everything like that. I think because we employed all these different lighting tricks and forced perspective, and we really had to think on our feet on what we were going to do. And my performance really was kind of what hinged all of it together. We were able to achieve something that I think even creeped me out when I saw it for the first time, because on set every single day, I'm grown up wearing a dress that has been strapped in. So that way I look like I have absolutely no figure. And Julia's wearing Gene Simmons platform shoes, and I'm squatting half the time, so I look shorter. And I have two young actresses who are playing me from different angles. And you're looking around and thinking everyone seems to be on the same page. We all believe that we can make this happen, but can we? And it's only until you see it done that I think I was actually we did it. This is actually really good. This is really good. And you can't tell how we did it because so much work went into it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the movies are phenomenal. I love the new ones so much. And what's funny is the way that you describe what you're seeing on set, sounds just as unhinged. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really kind of put us in that mind space, right? Of what is it to pretend to be a child? How hard is it? And for me, it was it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly difficult to put yourself back in those shoes, to act childlike, to be, mentally younger, to think in that way. And it really made me kind of ask myself, who was I as Isabelle when I was 10 years old, that I made such interesting choices as an actress that created this character to begin with. And I really had to revisit that, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to discover Esther all over again. Because I can't just look at it from I was 23 when we filmed it, a 23-year-old perspective, right? And go, well, this is, what I as an actor would do today, because then I wouldn't be creating the same character. And I really had to go back in time and be like, what did you do? I was watching the movie so many times being like, what did you do? Because this is good, but what did you do? What were you thinking of? And it was really cool for me. It was such a great exercise, honestly.
Did having the stand-ins that you had on First Kill, did having them there, sort of that younger energy, help at all in recapturing Esther pretending to be a child?
Massively. And it helped us discover new things. Kennedy, Kennedy was such a great dancer and always had such great ideas. So every day we would block the scene, and then the girls would come and watch, and then we would go through it, the three of us, and we would go through the movements of what the scene was and where we needed to be and what all the movements were and on what line and that sort of thing. And they were such good students, would remember everything. They were wonderful. And sometimes they would do things just in between takes for fun, that I would be like, you're doing that in the next take. And Kennedy, when we were doing the scene where in the insane asylum, he gives her the dress to escape, right? Okay. She was in between takes picking it up and just kind of dancing with it. And I was like, you are dancing with it. That is what is happening on the next shot. And it made it into the movie. And that was not something I wanted to do. I didn't even think about it. She's the one who did it. So it was really kind of, learning on the fly every single day and discovering new things and really being open to saying who is Esther in this movie?
Yeah. It's pretty incredible that like the character, which is profoundly beloved and respected by a significant fan base, is it not only influenced by the actress who plays her, but by other people as well who've like helped to form, you know, who she is as a character and all that. I think that's really interesting because people love Esther. Brent mentioned that there were some passionate fans initially on who were like, if you so help me.
No, and I think that's what, you know, we played into that too. Brent and I talked about it a lot. Like, how can we find ways that the audience that we all know has fallen in love with Esther? She's become such an iconic character and the movie became such a cult classic. How do we lean into that?
I think another thing that's fascinating too is how the story of Orphan, the original story, was influenced by a situation or something that had happened prior. And then after Orphan, there came, I literally just today, Isabelle, I'm not kidding you, I was tasked with something that mentioned an upcoming series about the story that came after Orphan, which very much mirrors, and I guess someone involved was like, I don't want to misquote them, but said it was exactly like the movie Orphan. Is it insane for you? Is it weird for you to like hear that, like, here are some, like, here's life imitating art in such a bizarre way?
You know, I don't know. You know, what's funny to me is that I think that it just goes to show how real horrifying events come from things that could be almost realistic. And that, you know, that's what obviously when the original instance that kind of inspired Orphan happened, it actually happened while we were filming. We were, the script was done. We were filming. We were in the middle of Canada filming the movie. I was 10 years old. And this article came out about a woman in some country who was passing herself off as a 10-year-old boy and had murdered a family and burned a house down. And I remember they were all looking around on set going, do we make it based off a true story? It's like, no, it's too complicated. The movie's different. So it doesn't really matter. And then part of the reason the prequel got made was because of that true story about that family in the United States that adopted a child and then it was on Dr. Phil and the whole thing. That was a whole back and forth. So that was kind of what originated the idea for us to take the prequel script out to get it made. And now with this on top of it, you know, it really makes me think like, I hope we didn't inspire any of these stories. A, I don't think we did. And B, you know, clearly we were on to something creatively. I think there is something about life imitating art in a weird, crazy way. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that, you know, for the sake of, you know, the wonderful work that so many people do to get children adopted, that this is not a common occurrence. I hope that, you know, people can just be, you know, I always say that myself, that Esther would have had a way easier time and a way easier life if she just could accept who she was, you know, and I think it's because she can't accept who she was and who she is that she does horrible things to try and get people to fall in love with her. And, you know, if we can all just accept ourselves for who we are, you know, then maybe we won't have adults pretending to be children and murdering people around the world, you know?
Yeah, you're probably right. And if she could only see how big of a fan base she really has out there.
I know, people love her. But it is terrifying. You know, that's what makes horror genre so interesting to me, actually, is not necessarily like all the supernatural or things where, you know, you can go, oh, this wouldn't happen, but it's something that could happen that you're like, that did happen.
Those are very terrifying. You're right. Isabelle, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking time to chat today. Orphan First Kill is on Paramount Plus and in theaters and available to buy, download on August 19th. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.